Any advice for getting under a snatch faster? Catching just above parallel and writing it down. Can't wrap my head around pulling under the barbell.
Getting under the barbell in the snatch faster isn't a concern of yours, and it shouldn't be, especially if you're in the position to ask one of these questions, because that kind of lets us know that we're a newer lifter. So one of the quintessential hallmarks of a master's lifter is how high the bar gets at its peak height, and then the distance between its peak height and how low it gets in the catch. And really, 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 really good lifters have the smallest distance from peak to catch. Beginners have larger distances, and as a career goes on, this gets smaller. And the main concern here is what you would try and focus on is trying getting under the barbell faster when it's not actually a major concern in the snatch, because it's not the huge portion of it. What's really important for the snatch is big extension, a vertical extension, getting the barbell moving fast, and then getting a full extension in there. As the weights get heavier and you get better at weightlifting, you will then get under the barbell faster. What generally happens here when we have newer lifters, and if you are not super talented, maybe your proprioception isn't great, your coordination isn't fantastic, or you're very new to weightlifting, what'll easily happen here is you just start smashing the barbell, you get under really fast, it looks faster, but you're actually cutting your pull, and then you're limiting the weights that you can do at heavier attempts because you have just emphasized one part that is mostly a reaction and a learned habit of having a good, fast, straight extension. And then when you get under, this is something that happens really reactively because the heavy weights and you've learned to lift fast is just something that happens. So trying to get under faster primarily is a skill issue and one that takes a while to learn. But what's really important here as well is that some of the things that might also be slowing this down is obviously technical ability, and then how fine-tuned you make that as you are training, which is really important, right? But then also, if your mobility is terrible, this can really limit your ability to move into a deep squat position. If you look at some different therapists and their chesting range of motion, then you're going to see this thing where you'll have first area of bind. So you might have a good range of motion somewhere, but it's really hard to get into that last 10% of that range of motion. What they will call the first area of bind is, for example, how far you can get until that last bit, and then it becomes really taut and you have to push through that. Having those kinds of inhibitions is really important to get rid of them in weightlifting, because we want to move as fluidly between that extension and pull under and getting down into that descent. So if mobility is an issue, definitely sorting out mobility is a very important part of that solution. Way more common to be a combination of these two, obviously, when you're an older lifter. You know, if you started in your 30s plus or your 30s, you're probably in a position where, you know, you could be both immobile and unskilled, and you need to work on both of these to really improve upon that.